the platform. Thank you to Chagrin for having us.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course. So we're gonna sit here so we're in frame for the camera.
Okay.
Are we in frame? Okay, fabulous.
Yeah.
My name's Grace Sullivan. I'm the operations manager here at the festival. Thank you all for being here. And let's have another round of applause for our fabulous filmmakers. Farhan, where did you come all the way from?
So I live in Vancouver,
Okay.
in British Columbia.
Okay, and you arrived last night, right?
Last night,
Very late.
midnight, yeah. And thanks for my host family.
Yeah,
Taking me
yeah. He's staying right here in Chagrin Falls through our homestay program, which allows filmmakers to stay with community members in Chagrin so they can be in walking distance and really experience not only the festival, but the community here. So I'll ask the first question. This is such an important and impactful story, and I'm wondering how you came about it. How did you find this story?
Okay, I'll give you the short version, but basically, some time ago, I helped to make a film which helped to protect the Skeena River from a massive LNG frack gas pipeline, which was going to displace the indigenous people, the Shimshan people on the coastline. And so I occupied the island and made this film which helped them, which funded their resistance, indigenous resistance to stay there. And we ended up defeating this massive catastrophic pipeline project. And since that time, I earned some trust from the northern indigenous communities, and the Gitnyao are one of those communities. I actually started working with them to produce, well, actually to train them to use drones for their environmental survey work, because I'm a big nerd. We'll talk about it later, and if you want, about drones and cameras and stuff. So they were using, rather than helicopters, drones. And so we built a relationship. I learned that I was a filmmaker. I produced a short film to help fund their Guardians program, which you guys saw when they're out on their territory doing this environmental restoration work. And we built a relationship over 5 years, and I was collecting footage of the work, the meaningful work they were doing, and then they gave me a chance to help tell their story about why this place needs to be protected, which seems obvious, but we need to engage audiences like you to make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of audiences like you, does anybody have a question? Don't be shy. Yeah.
So officially, I did 5 trips, just about a week in duration throughout 2021, basically season. And it was, yeah, nature really played ball. Like the first night that I was actually there, that black wolf walked right up to me and sat down at my feet.
Wow.
And I feel like like nature helped me get more than in a short amount of time. But I actually collected footage over several years of doing the drone training and the Guardians video as well. So I had a bit of a bank to work with as well. And I was actually there for that meeting when the government did that consultation. So that was actually the consultation with that, the deputy minister that you saw there. So we kind of like hung him out to dry a little bit because I'm like, hey, you saw the salmon, buddy. Don't mess with us, kind of thing, right? Yeah.
So when did filming wrap?
Oh, it seems like a blur now. It wrapped in the winter time of 2021.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody have any other questions? Yeah. I'm going to repeat the question into the microphone just so we can get out in the recording. The question is about the free claims online. Is that still an ongoing problem?
It is. We're trying to change that now. And that's one of the main outcomes we'd like to see from this film. It's to create public awareness to undo this terrible, you've seen it, like basically you can come and claim indigenous land, build a mine without any of their consent, and I don't think that's right. Oh, from the mining company's point of view, there are some limits. They can get like a parcels for exploration, but then exploration is very motivated to obviously build mines, right? So it can go pretty quick. Like individuals can do it. Yeah, and then they can flip that. So if you know, you can basically, in the old days, like an individual just come put a stake in the ground. It's just the same thing. It's just optimized for a digital world. So you can basically kind of steal their land by, you know, by having a computer. And I think that's insane, you know?
Yeah.
I guess I'm wondering, is it only for people who live in that area that you can claim, or just
No.
anybody?
You could be here,
Okay.
pop up on your computer, set up a mining company, and then stake a claim in their territory.
I guess I don't know. I was just thinking, like, is there a way for people who want to protect it, just they say, hey, we're gonna have a whole group of people and just stake claims, and so we can protect
Oh
it,
yeah,
and then
yes, there is a. I mean, those claims are now already there, though. That's the problem, and they have some value to them, so they have to be bought out to basically get to that point. So it's already been done, and but what we can do is use indigenous law to declare this a protected area, because technically Canada was formed by creating treaties with indigenous people, but many nations on the west coast especially haven't actually signed an agreement to give up their land to Canada. So technically, they're legally protected. Whether that is honored by the government, we generally see that it's not. It's assumed to be Crown land and assumed to be Canada, but technically, it is actually their land. So they have some rights. And so we're trying to assert those rights by creating an indigenous protected area and saying, you won't protect what matters, Canada? Well, we're going to do it on behalf of humanity and for the people who actually depend on this. This is their land.
Do we have another question? Yeah.
There's a lot to talk about in what you're saying, but you know, the thing is, there's a lot to say about it. But I can tell you that I care deeply, and I think that we can change things. At least we can maybe prevent the climate issues that are going to impact that area. And development, yes, some of it has to happen for us to have this modern societies we live in, but jewels like this, places that thousands upon thousands of people depend upon, that are the cultural centers for these people that have already been through so much, why can't we come together and just say this place, which 80% of Nass River sockeye spawn, yeah, that's kind of insane to develop there. The problem is when we talk about systemic racism, and you know, there are systems in place that had no regard for nature and indigenous people, and they're still in place today. In fact, they've been optimized. So we can change that aspect of it. It's wrong to be able to go to a computer and steal their land, period. We can change that. And it's going to take us to actually, you know, to be honest, to bring this to a place like this, it's actually important because we have, like, if you go to change.org, for instance, you can find change.org/Indigenous Protected Area. Put your name there. We take that to the BC government and we say, hey, the world is paying attention. This film has been at these international film festivals, and don't mess with the people of Ohio, right? It matters. It matters. They care what people think.
Absolutely. We have time for one more question before we screen our next short. Yeah.
Apart from making a change and putting our name out there and saying we're listening, we're horrified by this, we want to make sure this doesn't continue to happen, what else can we as individuals, and therefore hopefully a bigger community, do? Is there anything we can do?
So in the case of this, like, it's helpful to sign that petition, for instance, but I would say learn about the history of the Indigenous people whose land you're walking on and connect with them. Why can't we live in a society where we're friends? Why do we still not know each other? You know, so many people care, and you guys care. That's why you're here. I'm not Indigenous to that area. My ancestors were Indigenous to an area of Central Asia, Persia. We suffered colonization. We've ended up as refugees in Canada. We all have our stories, but we all have Indigenous ancestors at some point. It's our separation from that has created the problems we face today with climate, all of these issues. So indigeneity can be a frame of mind. I believe we're all Indigenous to Earth. So let's work together and learn about first where we're walking and do it locally. And then we can make a bigger global impact, I would say.
Absolutely. Let's hear it. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.